The Zalaxian ship entered Earth's orbit with a flash of blue light. It was bigger than anything humans had ever built, stretching nearly 2 miles from end to end. Its metal skin shimmered like oil on water, changing colors as it moved across the sky. Commander Jack Mason watched from Lunar Base Alpha, his eyes fixed on the monitor. At 53, he had spent most of his life preparing for this moment. First contact, but something felt wrong. "Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies," said Lieutenant Ramirez, her fingers moving quickly across her console. Mason nodded. "Put it through." The screen flickered, revealing a tall, thin alien with pale blue skin and 4 dark eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. When it spoke, its mouth didn't move in sync with the words. "People of Earth, I am Ambassador Threl Vox of the Galactic Confederation. We have been observing your world for some time. We come offering protection and guidance to your developing species." Mason's jaw tightened. He didn't like the tone. It reminded him of old history books about colonizers discovering inhabited lands. "Get me Admiral Taylor," he said to Ramirez. Minutes later, Admiral Susan Taylor's face appeared on a separate screen. At 62, she had a reputation for being tough but fair. Her gray hair was cut short, and her eyes showed the wisdom of someone who had seen too many wars on Earth. "I'm seeing it too, Mason," she said before he could speak. "What's your read?" "They're talking down to us, Admiral, like we're children." Taylor nodded. "The Security Council is meeting now. Keep watching and report anything unusual. No provocative moves." "Yes, ma'am." Over the next 3 days, more ships arrived, 17 in total, each representing a different alien species from the Confederation. They requested a meeting with Earth's leaders at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Mason was ordered to attend as military observer. He stood at the back of the room, watching as diplomats from Earth sat across from the alien representatives. Frank Miller, Earth's chief negotiator, was a calm man with 30 years of diplomatic experience. Even he seemed nervous. "We welcome the opportunity for cultural exchange," Miller said, "but Earth must maintain its sovereignty and control of its resources." The Xylaxian ambassador's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "You misunderstand your position," Threlvox said. "The Confederation does not request. We are offering you protection from the many dangers of the galaxy. In exchange, we will help ourselves to a small portion of your planet's resources. This is most generous." Miller leaned forward. "Ambassador, humans have managed our own affairs for thousands of years. We're eager to join the galactic community, but as equals, not as a protected species." A different alien with green scales and a ridge of spines along its head made a sound like stones grinding together. Their translator converted it to words. "Your species has barely achieved space travel. You've only recently stopped killing each other in large numbers. You are children playing with dangerous toys." Mason felt his face grow hot with anger. He watched Miller try again and again to establish respectful terms, but the aliens wouldn't budge. After 6 hours, the meeting ended with no agreement. The aliens returned to their ships. Mason followed Admiral Taylor to a secure room beneath the UN building. "What now?" he asked when they were alone. Taylor's face was grim. "They've given us 48 hours to accept their terms. After that, they'll impose a quarantine. No human ships will be allowed beyond Mars. No trade with other worlds." "They can't do that. We've been peaceful." "They can and they will," Taylor said. "They have the ships and technology to enforce it." Mason walked to the window, looking up at the sky where he knew the alien ships waited. "Do we give in?" Taylor was quiet for a long moment. Then she pressed her hand against a hidden scanner on the wall. A secret panel slid open, revealing a secure communication terminal. "The Security Council has made its decision," she said as she typed in a complex code. "We won't surrender Earth's freedom, not after everything our ancestors fought for." The Maybe screen lit up with a message, "Authorization confirmed." "What's Operation Shadowfall?" Mason asked, reading the words that appeared. Taylor's eyes met his. "Insurance. Something we've been working on since 2052. "The Roswell incident?" Mason had heard rumors throughout his military career. "Not Roswell. Antarctica. We found a scout. Ship crashed in the ice. Alien technology, but not from any of these species. We've been reverse engineering it for decades, building our own fleet in secret bases throughout the solar system. Mason could hardly believe what he was hearing. We have ships, warships? More than ships, Taylor said. We have weapons these Confederation aliens haven't seen before. We've been hiding our true technological level, keeping our advanced research off the main networks. Why keep it secret from your own people? Taylor's expression hardened. Because humans panic, Mason. If people knew we were preparing for a possible alien threat, there would have been chaos. Better to let them think we were just expanding peaceful space programs. The terminal beeped, showing that Taylor's commands had been received and acknowledged. What happens now? Mason asked. Now we play along. We act weak, confused. We let them think their blockade is working. Taylor closed the panel and straightened her uniform. Meanwhile, our hidden fleet gets ready. 2 days later, the Confederation ships began establishing their blockade. They positioned vessels at key points throughout the solar system, preventing human ships from traveling beyond Mars. On Earth, people were angry and scared. News reports showed protests outside government buildings. Some people wanted to fight back immediately. Others wanted to surrender to the aliens' terms. Mason received new orders. He was to take command of a special forces team and head to Mars colony, officially to maintain order during the crisis. His real mission was classified. As his transport ship left Earth's atmosphere, he looked back at the blue planet. The Confederation aliens thought they had humanity trapped. They thought Earth was alone and helpless. They were wrong. Mason smiled as his ship accelerated toward Mars, where humanity's real power waited in secret underground hangars. The aliens had made a mistake. They had judged humans by their public technology, their official military. They hadn't expected humans to be paranoid enough to build a secret war fleet. They hadn't expected humans to withhold their true capabilities, and that mistake would cost them dearly. 3 years passed under the Confederation blockade. Earth's official space program struggled with limited access to resources beyond Mars. Regular people felt the effects too. Prices went up. New technology became rare. The aliens allowed only a small amount of trade, charging huge fees that made Earth poorer each day. But deep beneath the red surface of Mars, hidden from the watchful eyes of the Confederation, humans were busy. Olivia Harris wiped sweat from her forehead as she checked the power systems on the USS Defiant, the largest ship in humanity's secret fleet. The underground shipyard stretched for miles beneath Olympus Mons, the tallest mountain in the solar system. Perfect cover for what had become the largest engineering project in human history. Power fluctuation in Section 4, called a technician. From across the massive hangar, Olivia nodded and climbed down the ladder from the ship's hull. At 35, she had been one of Earth's top engineers before being secretly recruited for Operation Shadowfall. Her husband and children thought she worked on improving Mars colony's life support systems. They had no idea she was helping build warships. Let's fix it before the test run, she said, joining her team at the control panel. We can't afford any mistakes. The ship above them was unlike anything humans had officially built. Nearly half a mile long, with sleek lines and weapons that could tear through the strongest known alien shields. Its hull was made from a special material that absorbed scanner beams instead of reflecting them. To enemy sensors, it would appear as nothing more than space debris until it was too late. Engineer Harris, a voice called from behind her. Admiral Taylor has arrived for inspection. Olivia turned to see Commander Mason walking alongside Admiral Taylor. They both wore simple Mars colony jumpsuits to avoid drawing attention during their trip from Earth. Admiral, Olivia said with a quick salute. We're nearly ready. All 20 ships in the first wave will be operational within the week. Taylor nodded, her eyes taking in the massive ship above them. And the rest of the fleet? The other facilities report similar progress. 200 ships total, spread across 5 hidden bases. Venus has completed their stealth fighters. Mercury's shipyards finished the heavy destroyers last month. Mason whistled low. The Confederation has no idea what's coming. That's the point, Taylor said. They think we're just accepting their blockade, getting weaker every day. She turned to Olivia. Show me the weapon systems. As they walked Through the shipyard, Olivia explained the advancements they had made by studying the alien technology found in Antarctica. The crashed ship used principles we hadn't discovered yet. Their approach to physics was different from ours. Better? Mason asked. Different, Olivia corrected. They focused on elegant solutions, minimum energy use. We took their ideas and applied human thinking to them. Meaning? Taylor asked. Meaning we made them hit harder, Olivia said with a small smile. The Confederation values efficiency. We value effectiveness. Their ships are designed to disable opponents with surgical precision. Ours are designed to win. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Lieutenant Alan Patel ran combat drills with the pilots of Space Combat Division. Hidden among the thousands of floating rocks, their training facility was impossible to spot unless you knew exactly where to look. Again, Patel ordered as the simulation ended. The 20 pilots groaned but reset their systems. The Xylaxians favor wide turns to maintain shield integrity. Their blind spot is directly above their engine section for exactly 2.3 seconds during the turn. That's not much time to hit a target, said one pilot, Jeff Barnes. It's enough, Patel said firmly. Remember, they don't expect us to know their weaknesses. They don't expect us to have studied them. Surprise will be our greatest weapon. Pilots ran the drill again and again until each of them could hit the simulated target during that brief, vulnerable moment. When they finally took a break, Patel received a secure message from Lunar Command. Operation Thunderbolt was moving to final preparation phase. That night, Mason, Taylor, and a dozen other high-ranking officers gathered in a secure room deep beneath Olympus Mons. The mood was tense, but hopeful. Our intelligence reports the Confederation is planning a pacification action against Earth, General William Jones said, pointing to images on the main screen. They're bringing in 40 warships, enough to overwhelm our official defenses. When? Taylor asked. 2 weeks. They're tired of the standoff and want to force our surrender, Jones replied. They plan to target major cities with their version of shock and awe. Mason studied the images of the approaching alien fleet. They still think our best technology is what they see on the surface. They have no idea about any of this. Exactly, Taylor said, and that gives us the edge we need. She stood and faced the room. This is what we've prepared for. Humanity has always been good at one thing above all others, surviving against the odds. She pressed a button, bringing up a detailed battle plan on the main screen. Operation Thunderbolt begins in 10 days. We'll position our stealth fleet here in Jupiter's radiation belts. The electromagnetic interference will provide extra cover. What about our official defense forces? Asked a naval officer. They'll form a thin line here at Mars orbit, Taylor explained. Just enough to look like we're trying to protect Earth, with what the Confederation thinks we have. When the enemy fleet passes Mars, thinking they've broken through our main defense, that's when our real fleet reveals itself. Mason nodded. A classic pincer movement. They'll be caught between two forces. With one important difference, Taylor said. The force they don't see coming will be far stronger than anything they expect humans to possess. The room fell silent as everyone considered what was coming. They weren't just planning a battle. They were planning to change humanity's place in the galaxy. Get some rest, Taylor finally said. In 2 weeks, either we'll have won our independence or Earth will fall under alien control for generations. As the meeting ended, Olivia returned to the USS Defiant for final checks. She ran her hand along the ship's smooth hull, thinking about what it represented. Years of secret work. The combined intelligence of thousands of engineers and scientists. Humanity's refusal to be conquered. From a small viewport, she could see Mars's red surface far above. Somewhere up there, Confederation ships patrolled, believing they had humans contained and controlled. They had no idea what was waiting for them. The Confederation fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system, their ships glowing against the darkness of space. 40 warships, each bigger than anything Earth officially possessed. They moved in perfect formation, confident and unhurried. Admiral Krendos stood on the bridge of the lead ship, his forearms crossed over his chest. He was a veteran of 12 pacification actions across the galaxy, This one would be no different. "Status report," he ordered, his voice deep and raspy. "Primitive human defenses detected near Mars orbit," his second-in-command reported. 10 small vessels, outdated weapons systems. Nothing worth mentioning, Admiral." Krendaws made a clicking sound that served as laughter among his species. "As expected. Humans are stubborn but ultimately helpless. This will be over quickly." What the Confederation sensors didn't detect were the 200 stealth ships hiding in Jupiter's radiation belts. The gas giant's natural electromagnetic interference combined with the advanced absorption materials of the human ships made them invisible to alien technology. Captain Lisa Ortiz sat in the command chair of the USS Intrepid, the flagship of Strike, Group Alpha. At 41, she had been a submarine commander before joining Operation Shadowfall. The skills transferred well, moving unseen, striking without warning. "All ships report ready, Captain," her executive officer said quietly. Ortiz nodded, watching the tactical display as the Confederation fleet moved past the orbit of Saturn. "Remind all captains. Radio silence until Admiral Taylor gives the core signal. Not a single engine flare, not a single power spike." In another part of the Jupiter system, Mason and Taylor waited aboard the command ship USS Valiant. The vessel was specially designed with extra communication equipment and tactical systems to coordinate the coming battle. "They've spotted our decoy defense line at Mars," Mason reported, looking at his screen. Taylor stood behind him, hands clasped behind her back. "And they're dismissing it just as we hoped." She checked the time. 2 hours until they reach the engagement point. "Make sure all ship captains understand the battle plan." "Yes, Admiral." Mason sent encrypted messages to each strike group. Years of preparation had led to this moment. Meanwhile, the small official, Defense Force at Mars orbit, prepared to play their part. These men and women knew they were bait, meant to draw the Confederation fleet into position. They also knew their ships weren't as defenseless as the aliens believed. The hours passed slowly. On Earth, government leaders waited in secure bunkers, not knowing if they would emerge to freedom or alien occupation. Finally, the Confederation fleet approached Mars. The small line of human defenders powered up their weapons, putting on a brave show despite being outnumbered 4-1. "Pathetic," Admiral Krendaws said, watching the humans prepare to fight. "Target their engines. I want them disabled, not destroyed. The primitives will serve as an example to the rest of their kind." His weapons officer prepared to fire. But before he could give the order, alarms blared across the Confederation fleet. "Energy signatures behind us," his sensor operator shouted. "Hundreds of them all around Jupiter's orbit." Krendaws spun around, his 4 eyes widening. "Impossible. Where did they come from?" Aboard the USS Valiant, Admiral Taylor gave the order. They had prepared 3 years for execute Operation Thunderbolt. Throughout Jupiter's orbital space, 200 human warships powered up simultaneously, their stealth systems deactivated as weapons came online. The Confederation sensors, previously blind to their presence, now showed the full human fleet in terrifying clarity. Captain Ortiz opened a channel to all ships in her strike group. "Remember your training. Close to point-blank range before firing. Their shields are weakest against concentrated fire. Move fast, hit hard." The human ships accelerated at speeds the Confederation hadn't thought possible for Earth technology. Instead of forming a battle line at a distance, as was standard in galactic warfare, the human vessels drove straight toward their targets like spears. Aboard his flagship, Krendaws shouted orders, trying to reposition his fleet to face the unexpected threat. "Form defensive sphere, power to forward shields." But the human attack had been carefully planned to prevent exactly that. The ships from Jupiter attacked from multiple directions, while the small Mars Defense Force suddenly accelerated forward, revealing weapons much stronger than their size suggested. The Confederation doctrine of elegant, long-range combat fell, apart against human tactics. The Earth ships closed to dangerously short distances, firing kinetic weapons that hammered alien shields designed to stop energy beams. Nuclear-tipped missiles detonated near alien engines, the electromagnetic pulses, disrupting their power systems. Captain Ortiz's ship, the USS Intrepid, drove straight for the Confederation flagship. "Target their command bridge," she ordered. "Fire everything we've got when we're within 500 meters." Her weapons officer looked shocked. "That's inside minimum safe distance for our own weapons." "I know," Ortiz said calmly. "They won't expect it because no species would risk such a tactic." The Intrepid closed with the much larger alien vessel, taking hits that burned through parts of its hull. But its momentum carried it forward until it was almost touching the Confederation flagship. "Fire," Ortiz ordered. All weapons discharged. At once, the combined force overwhelming the alien shields at point-blank range. The Confederation flagship's bridge section exploded, its lights flickering as emergency systems fought to keep the massive ship functioning. Similar scenes played out across the battlefield. Human vessels took damage but kept fighting with a ferocity the Confederation had never encountered. Admiral Taylor watched from the Valiant, directing strike groups to focus on key targets. "Status report," she called to Mason. 23 enemy ships disabled or destroyed," he replied, his voice tight with tension. "We've lost 12 of ours. The enemy is trying to regroup near Phobos." Taylor nodded. "Order Strike Group Delta to cut off their retreat path. I want their admiral captured if possible." After 90 minutes of intense fighting, the battle was effectively over. The remaining Confederation ships were surrounded, their communication systems jammed. The pride of the Galactic peacekeeping force had been shattered by a species they had dismissed as barely space-capable. The human ships surrounded Admiral Krendoz's damaged flagship. Captain Ortiz opened a communication channel, her image appearing on the alien bridge. "This is Captain Lisa Ortiz of the United Earth Fleet," she said, her voice steady despite the wounds on her face from a console explosion. "Your fleet is defeated. Your choices are surrender or destruction." Krendoz stared at the human in disbelief. "How? You were primitive, contained. We monitored your technology levels." "You monitored what we showed you," Ortiz replied. "From the species you called children. Consider this our Declaration of Independence. As the Confederation officers surrendered, news of the victory spread across Earth. People came out of their homes, looking up at the sky where history had changed. Humanity was no longer alone and helpless in the galaxy. They had proven themselves, in the most dramatic way possible. On the Valiant, Admiral Taylor allowed herself a small smile. "Send word to Earth. The solar system is secure." Mason looked at the tactical display, showing the crippled Confederation fleet surrounded by human ships. "What happens now?" "Now," Taylor said, "we show the galaxy what humanity really is." News of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. The Confederation had kept tight control over information networks for thousands of years, but they couldn't contain this story. A species they had dismissed as primitive had defeated their military force. The impossible had happened. On Xylaxis Prime, the capital world of the Confederation, the High Council gathered for an emergency meeting. The Grand Chamber, usually filled with calm discussion, now echoed with angry shouts and accusations. "How could this happen?" demanded Councillor Vexnar, slamming his fist on the polished table. 40 of our best ships destroyed or captured by humans. Our intelligence was wrong," admitted the head of Confederation security, his skin changing from blue to gray in shame. "They hid their true technological level from us." "This changes everything," said another counselor, her voice shaking. "If the humans could do this, what about the other species we've contained? The Delvians, the Toral? Are they hiding their abilities too?" Fear spread through the chamber. For 5,000 years, the Confederation had ruled the galaxy without serious challenge. Now that power seemed suddenly fragile. Meanwhile, on Earth, the human leadership prepared to move from a military victory to a diplomatic one. In the White House, President Laura Chen met with her advisors and Admiral Taylor. "We need to press our advantage," Chen said, studying reports from across the solar system. "But we can't appear to be aggressors. That would turn the rest of the galaxy against us." "We have a plan," Taylor replied. "We're sending Ambassador Doug Warren to address the Confederation Assembly." "Warren?" Chen looked surprised. "He's not our most experienced diplomat." No, Taylor agreed. But he was a history professor before entering diplomacy. He understands how empires fall and new orders rise. That's the knowledge we need right now. The next day, Ambassador Warren boarded a ship for Xylaxis Prime. Unlike the hidden military vessels, this diplomatic ship was designed to impress. Its gleaming hull and elegant lines showed the best of human aesthetics, while its weapons remained carefully concealed. Warren was a thoughtful man with gray hair and kind eyes that hid a sharp mind. As his ship traveled through the network of faster-than-light corridors that connected the galaxy, he prepared his speech. The words needed to be perfect. They would either secure humanity's place among the stars or trigger a larger war. Intelligence. Officer Maria Collins traveled on the same ship, though her mission was very different. While Warren would speak openly to the Confederation, Collins would work in the shadows. Collins was 38, with an unremarkable face that people tended to forget minutes after meeting her. This made her perfect for intelligence work. The diplomatic ship approached Xylaxis Prime. She prepared her equipment, tools designed to access alien information networks without detection. Remember, Taylor had told her before departure, find out if there are other species in similar situations to ours. We need allies if the Confederation decides to send their main battle fleet. The diplomatic ship arrived at Xylaxis Prime 3 days later. The planet was beautiful, with sprawling cities of crystal and light spread across its surface. The Confederation Assembly Building dominated the capital city, a towering structure of impossible geometry that seemed to defy gravity. Ambassador Warren stood before the full assembly, facing representatives from all 17 species of the Confederation. His human frame seemed small compared to the towering aliens around him, but his voice was steady. Members of the Galactic Confederation, he began. I come before you not as a conqueror, but as the voice of a species that simply wishes to determine its own destiny. The chamber remained silent as he continued. We came in peace. You chose war. Now you understand why Earth has never been successfully conquered throughout our bloody history. Warren paused, looking around the room. We don't want your territory. We don't want to rule your worlds. We simply demand respect and equal standing. A Xylaxian representative interrupted. Your species concealed its true nature and attacked our peacekeeping forces. Warren didn't flinch. Your peacekeeping forces came to subjugate Earth. We monitored your communications. We know a pacification. Action is your term for invasion and resource seizure. You left us no choice. While Warren addressed the assembly, Collins slipped away from the diplomatic party. Using the confusion caused by the human delegation's arrival, she accessed a maintenance corridor that led to the Confederation's central data archives. Her equipment, based on technology from the crashed alien ship found in Antarctica, allowed her to bypass security systems. What she found in the archives shocked her. Earth wasn't the first. The Confederation had been containing primitive species for thousands of years, keeping them isolated while taking their resources. Some populations had been kept as virtual slaves for generations. The Delvians, blue-skinned beings from a water world, had developed space travel 300 years ago but were still forced to mine their planet's rare minerals for the Confederation. The Toral, a reptilian species with advanced mathematical knowledge, were confined to their home system. Despite having faster-than-light capability, dozens of other species faced similar situations. Collins downloaded everything she could find about these oppressed worlds. This information would change humanity's strategy completely. When she rejoined the diplomatic team, Warren had finished his speech. The assembly was in an uproar, with different factions arguing loudly. How did it go? Collins asked quietly. They're scared, Warren replied. Our victory has shaken their confidence, but I'm worried they'll respond with even greater force once the shock wears off. They will, Collins said, patting the hidden pocket containing her stolen data. The Confederation is mobilizing its main battle fleet, over 1,000 warships gathering near the Centauri corridor. Warren's face paled. Earth can't stand against that many, even with our hidden technology. Collins smiled slightly. We won't have to stand alone. I found others like us. Lots of them, waiting for someone to lead the way. Back on Earth, Admiral Taylor received Collins's transmission. She immediately called an emergency meeting with military command and President Chen. "The situation has changed," Taylor announced, displaying the information Collins had stolen. "This isn't just about Earth anymore. The Confederation has been doing this to dozens of species." "What does this mean for us?" Chen asked. "It means we have potential allies," Mason replied. "If we can reach these other contained species, teach them our tactics." Taylor nodded. "We need to move quickly. The Confederation is gathering their main fleet. They'll come to Earth with overwhelming force. Then we need to not be here when they arrive," Taylor said, a plan already forming in her mind. "Or at least our fleet shouldn't be." "What are you suggesting?" President Chen asked. Taylor's smile was cold. "They expect us to defend Earth. Instead, we'll take the fight directly to them, to their home worlds." The Confederation's main battle fleet arrived at Earth with overwhelming force. Over 1,000 warships filled the space around the blue planet, their weapons ready to end humanity's brief rebellion. Admiral Grelthox, Supreme Commander of all Confederation forces, expected Earth's defenders to fight bravely but hopelessly. "Scan for human military vessels," he ordered from the bridge of his massive command ship. "Sir, we're detecting only minimal defenses," his sensor officer reported with confusion. "A few dozen ships in Earth orbit. Nothing like the force that defeated Admiral Krendoz's fleet." Grelthox frowned, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence. "It's a trap. They're hiding. Again." Hours passed as the Confederation fleet searched the solar system, expecting to find humanity's secret armada waiting to ambush them. They found nothing. The asteroid belt was empty. Jupiter's moons showed no signs of the stealth ships that had turned the tide in the previous battle. Then an urgent message arrived from Xylaxis Prime that changed everything. "Sir," his communication officer said, voice shaking, "we're receiving emergency signals from the homeworlds. 7 Confederation capital planets report human warships in orbit. They've deployed planet cracker bombs on each world." The bridge fell silent. Planet crackers were the most feared weapons in the galaxy, capable of shattering a world's crust and rendering it uninhabitable for centuries. Their use had been banned by galactic treaty for thousands of years. "Open a channel to Earth," Grelthox ordered, his voice barely controlled. President Chen appeared on the main screen, her expression calm despite facing the largest battle fleet ever assembled. "This is Admiral Grelthox of the Confederation. Your ships are threatening our homeworlds. This violation is no different from what you planned for Earth," Chen interrupted. "The difference is that we won't actually destroy your worlds if you listen to reason." From a ship orbiting Xylaxis Prime, Captain Ryan Mitchell led the diplomatic team that would determine the galaxy's future. At 37, Mitchell had been chosen for his unique combination of military experience and diplomatic training. "Send the terms," Mitchell ordered, watching the Confederation capital below. The planet cracker devices his ships had deployed were actually elaborate fakes, high-yield conventional explosives designed to appear as doomsday weapons on alien sensors. But the Confederation didn't know that. Mitchell's second-in-command, a stern woman named Karen Fisher, transmitted the document that contained humanity's demands: immediate recognition of Earth's sovereignty, reparations for the blockade, and reformation of the Confederation into a true galactic republic where all species had equal representation. "Do you think they'll agree?" Fisher asked quietly. "They don't have much choice," Mitchell replied. "They built their power on the idea that they were untouchable. We've proven that's not true." Back on Earth, President Chen continued speaking, with Admiral Grelthox. "We know what the Confederation has done to dozens of species across the galaxy. The Delvians, the Toral, the Brek. All kept isolated, their resources harvested while they're told they're not ready for the galactic community." Grelthox's face changed color in surprise. "How could you possibly know?" "We have our ways," Chen said. "Just as we found ways to build our fleet in secret, ways to reach your homeworlds undetected. In the 2 weeks since discovering the truth, About the Confederation's treatment of other species, humanity had been busy. Small, fast ships had been sent to contact other subjugated worlds. The intelligence that Maria Collins had stolen provided everything they needed: star maps, defense codes, communication frequencies. The response had been even better than hoped. The Delvians, after 3 centuries of oppression, had risen up against their Confederation overseers within days of human contact. The Taural had done the same, using mathematical precision to overwhelm the small Confederation presence on their world. As Admiral Grelthox considered his options, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The carefully maintained order that had allowed 17 privileged species to rule over hundreds of others was collapsing. The myth of Confederation superiority had been shattered by one supposedly primitive planet that refused to know its place. "What guarantees do we have that you won't destroy our homeworlds even if we agree to your terms?" Grelthox finally asked. President Chen's expression softened slightly. "Because we're not like you. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We just want all species to determine their own futures." After 18 tense hours of negotiation, the Treaty of Luna was signed in an historic ceremony on Earth's moon. Admiral Taylor and Commander Mason stood as witnesses as representatives from the Confederation, formally recognized Earth's independence, and agreed to reform the galactic government. "Did you ever think we'd end up here?" Mason asked quietly as they watched the signing. Taylor shook her head. "When we started building our secret fleet, I just hoped we'd survive. I never imagined we'd end up changing the galaxy." 3 months later, as Earth prepared to host the first assembly of the new Galactic Republic, Admiral Taylor and Commander Mason stood on the observation deck of the human embassy on Xylaxis Prime. The city below them buzzed with activity as representatives from dozens of formerly subjugated species arrived to claim their seats in the new galactic government. "They never expected us," Mason said, watching alien diplomats hurrying to meet with human representatives. "No one did." "That was always our advantage," Taylor replied. "Throughout our history, humans have been underestimated. We've turned that into our greatest strength." As they spoke, Maria Collins arrived with important news. 3 more formerly subjugated species have successfully negotiated their independence, she reported. "They're using our approach as their model." Mason looked out at the alien city, still beautiful but now transformed by the presence of species that had been kept away for centuries. "Do you think it will last, this new galactic order?" "It has to," Taylor said firmly. "The old way kept too many voices silent, too much potential wasted." A Delvian ship passed overhead, its blue-skinned crew visible through the viewports. They waved at the humans, a gesture they had quickly adopted from their new allies. "There will be challenges," Collins admitted. "Some in the Confederation still resist change, but they're learning what we've always known." "What's that?" Mason asked. "Never underestimate those you think are beneath you," Collins replied with a smile. "You might discover they've been building warships in secret." As Earth took its place, among the stars not as conquerors or the conquered but as equals and liberators, the former Confederation species began to understand what humans had learned through thousands of years of their own bloody history. True strength comes not from domination, but from cooperation and mutual respect. The story had begun with aliens who thought humans were primitive and ended with a galaxy transformed by human determination. No one had expected humanity to change the cosmic order, which is exactly why they had succeeded.